Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And we have our Week 11 preview coming up. We got 4 interesting games going into this weekend, some with some bigger ramifications more than others. But nonetheless, some interesting news, injury news, all that sort of stuff in, I think, every single one of these games. So we're going to start out with the Thursday game, which will be, as of when we are recording this at 9 o'clock on the Wednesday, 9 o'clock Central, that is. We'll be releasing this the day of the first game on the Thursday. And the first game of the week, Ottawa Redblacks versus the Calgary Stampeders. Now, the number one thing here of note is that Drew Brown is out and Jeremiah Masoli is making his first CFL start of the 2024 season. Rick, here's the question. Does he last a quarter?
I wouldn't even say a quarter. Does he make it past, like...
multiple drives?
Yeah.
Like,
keep in mind...
I'm worried injury-wise because it's like every time this guy gets hurt and he comes back, it's like he gets hurt almost right away. Like, it's actually kind of crazy.
So, keep in mind, this is actually the second time that these teams have played.
Yep. What was the result the first time?
First time it was 33-6 Ottawa. And in that game, Drew Brown threw 325 yards, 1 touchdown. Dustin Crum only had 1 touchdown. Where the heck did they get all their games in this game? Or all their points, I should say.
Get some defensive ones? Or
in this one, Jake Mayer threw 20 for 2,736 yards, 0 touchdowns.
Whoa, you said 736 yards. I think you got that.
136 yards.
I was about to say, I don't think Jake Mayer threw 700. No, this is a bit of an interesting one, and it all goes back to that Jeremiah Masoli going in, because
that explains everything.
Some people forget that when Jeremiah Masoli, even though he hasn't been able to play very many games for Ottawa just because he's been injured for so long, and I'm not going to lie, after his last injury, I said, I think his career is over. I think realistically, having that injury and then, taking that shot to the knees, coming back and not even lasting half a game or whatever it was, a quarter, I can't even remember. It was real quick. Injured, another season-ending injury. I thought that was going to be it, but Jeremiah Masoli fighting back, gets back into it. I respect it. I do. And so it was one of those things, though, in the few games that he was able to play for Ottawa, he was very good. I remember when Winnipeg played against Ottawa, first game of the season. This is when Winnipeg was still a very, very dominant regular season team. Obviously, that's not what they are now, and they're kind of more of a fishing for a playoff spot. Winnipeg's changed in that sense. But even though, despite the fact that Ottawa wasn't able to get anything going, Jeremiah Masoli was very good, very consistent in those games that he played. And so I think that Jeremiah Masoli has a big opportunity here, and to really get this receiving core going even more than it already has. So I think there's a big opportunity for Jeremiah Masoli, but it's one of those things, being 2 years out of playing like a full game of football. Because a CFL game of football, because again, he only lasted like a quarter, not even half a game. I don't even know what it was. It wasn't very long though. Like, how do you think that? Rick, that's got to affect him. Almost 2 years, on the sidelines. Finally able to go in and maybe have a chance to make it through a whole game.
I mean, we spoke with Alouette's flight deck about this the other day with Reggie White Jr.
Yeah, that's true.
And he hasn't played 2 full seasons. And this is his first one back.
And he came out on fire. No, that's true. That is a very good point. And it's also a very good point that, Masoli, when he was playing with Ottawa, had done very, very well. And so naturally, that continuation of that success will be a big factor in how Ottawa is going to be able to perform. Ottawa obviously coming off of an extremely controversial game between them and Saskatchewan. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen Ottawa fans saying they were screwed over by the command center. I've seen Saskatchewan fans say they were I've seen both fan bases, Saskatchewan and Ottawa, complain about the command center. I've seen everyone who's not a fan of those teams complain about the command center. But those two fan bases, Saskatchewan got lucky in one, or Ottawa got lucky in their not in one, but in their situation and getting the tie. Both teams got screwed over. This was just a mess of a situation altogether. And so, Red Blacks contending with the Riders, one of the best teams in the league this year. That's a good showing, regardless.
In week 8, when these teams played, it was, just think of this. It was Pimpleton's second CFL game ever.
Yep.
He got I'm trying to look it up to see what it was. I know it was a return, but I'm just trying to see. That was that 99-yard punt return that he had.
Oh, yeah.
Crum had a touchdown, and then Ackland got a pass from Drew Brown, and then the rest of it was just kicks.
Yeah.
But going into this week, Drew Brown is out. Pimpleton is out.
And
Romick is out.
Yep.
Cormier is out.
Yeah. You're talking
Money
about the Ottawa
Hunter.
side? You're talking about
Yes.
the Red Black side of things, yeah.
Yeah. Money Hunter is out. Here's an interesting thing, Carter.
Yep.
Matt Schiltz has not played a game yet.
That's a name I haven't heard that name in a while.
He's out with an ankle injury. When did he get an ankle injury?
I was about to say it wasn't in a game, that's for sure. I was about to say that's out of the Ticats vault there. Walks Schiltz.
Tyson, and also on the Calgary side, Tyson Middlemost is out, and Adam Kunar is out. Everyone listed is available on both sides.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do want to mention, though, is that, again, Mazzoli, I think, could be a very big factor here for the Red Blacks. But if we go over onto the Stampeder side of things, Jake Mayer went 33-45, so okay completion percentage. Not perfect, but definitely not too bad. 373 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So, again, not looking to get interceptions, but 1-1's not too bad. But however, almost 400 yards passing. Very, very key there. Reggie Bagleton was able to be a consistent piece for them last game, over 100 yards receiving on 8 receptions. Barnes is 74, and then 57 for Mitchell. And so it's interesting to see exactly the different weapons that Calgary has when it comes to the passing game. And I say when it comes to the passing game because that's definitely where Calgary, where their strength is and where they constantly go to. That's where Dickinson has really pushed this offense to be. Rene Paredes, he's 1 for 2 last game, looking for a little bit more consistency. I don't think he's going to be too shaken by that. I think he'll just kind of get back to business as usual. And so I think he could be good for the Stampeders in this game. But overall, Rick, how are we feeling about this one?
So interesting note.
Mm-hmm.
You probably didn't think of this.
Okay.
Don't forget, Tommy Condell and Mazzoli have history together.
That's a very good point. I did not think of that.
Because Tommy Condell was the offensive coordinator.
This could be a very big benefit for Jeremiah Mazzoli then in that case.
But I don't think Mazzoli runs if he has to. Like if he has to scramble.
I know, but being familiar with the playbook you have is huge. I cannot stress that enough.
But also,
yep.
Teams have a hard time winning in Calgary too at the same time.
That's a good point. Calgary has been a very good team at home. And with a record that is, it's sub 500, but it's pretty darn close to 500. Like, how many wins do they have at home this season?
They have 4 wins at home, 5 losses on the road.
So they are 4-0 at home. This season.
Keep in mind, they have the 3rd worst defense in the league.
I don't know. Because here's the thing. I think Jeremiah Mazzoli has a very good chance of throwing 70% or higher on his completion percentage. And that was kind of one of the complaints that Shane from 13th Man Sports has said. He likes Drew Brown, but the only issue Drew Brown has had, and this is just that he'll need in time and in training and getting back up to it, is that Drew Brown has been hovering in those mid 60s for his completion percentage. And so the question is, how much more offense can the Ottawa Red Blacks produce with a quarterback that has that? Now, one thing is that Calgary's defense has not been great. It is not. And that really helps the Red Blacks here, as one of the things that's been really interesting is that this interior offensive line is definitely being the stars of the offensive line in Ottawa. However, the exterior has improved over prior seasons, and so they've been able to put up a decent front. And so I think with a quarterback like Jeremiah Mazzoli, that's definitely a key thing to have. And I think Ottawa has, I'm not going to say Ottawa has it, but I'm going to say they have enough of it for Jeremiah Mazzoli to be able to do some damage here to the Stampeders.
But here's the thing, though, is Ottawa has the second worst offense scoring points-wise.
Really? Interesting.
The only worst team?
It's crazy for a team that's second in their own division to be there. Wow. Surprised.
The worst team below them is Winnipeg with 188 points offense.
Lovely.
Then Winnipeg has 196. Ottawa has 196. And then the next team after that
It's all right.
is Calgary with 217.
Claire's just running it.
So you have like the 7th and 8th worst offense.
Yeah.
Going at each other.
Well, then
hopefully this is not the snooze fest of the week.
I was about to, well, I beg to differ. Hopefully this is a snooze fest. Winnipeg gets a lot of offense and passes both teams. That's my hope. But overall, it's one of those things where I think this will be a good game. And do you know who you're taking, Rick? I don't.
Oh, I know who I'm taking.
Who are you taking?
I'm taking Ottawa.
You want to know something, to be honest? I think I'm taking Ottawa too. I'm pretty hesitant because of that Calgary record at home, but I think Ottawa has enough of the pieces. And also, I want Ottawa to win because I kind of need Calgary to lose for Winnipeg's sake. So
there was a time last year where we had not won in Calgary. I think it was until like 2013 or something stupid like that. And all of a sudden, we won in Calgary last year. Don't ask me
got
how,
her done.
but we did.
Maybe this is where Calgary's home dominance gets a little bit of a fork in the road. So that's why I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with the Red Blacks. And I'm praying that my picks this week can salvage my pick'ems because it's been a bit of a rough time. But so I'm going with Red Blacks. You're going with Red Blacks. That is the Thursday game. Friday, we have which will be either the most interesting game of the week or the second most interesting game of the week. We have the Montreal Alouettes against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Rick, before we get into absolutely anything, people should do two things. Number one, they should like and subscribe if they haven't already. Please do. I'm asking nicely. Don't make me not. And the other thing is, Rick, what is the injury situation between these two teams? As that was something that in the review we discussed that was going to be huge for this game. So we're 2 days out from the game. We're recording this on the Wednesday. It's going up on the Thursday, and this is about the Friday game. So 2 days out.
And the final reports are out, my friend.
Perfect. Let's hear it.
Okay. What do you want? Montreal or Saskatchewan first?
Start with Saskatchewan.
Okay, so Ojo is out with a finger injury.
Oh, Ojo. Oh, no.
Ojo,
oh, no, it's Ojo.
Ojo, quit picking your nose and you won't have a finger injury. Sorry, I couldn't help. I couldn't help with that joke. CJ Avery is out with a head injury.
Cap.
Bald and Ado is out with a head injury. He's a defensive lineman. Okay. Jacob Brommer is out with a knee injury. He's offensive line. Mm-hmm. And Straker, linebacker, is out with a hamstring. So you know what that means, Carter?
What does
That means Trevor Harris is available. Keyshawn Johnson is available. AJ Ouellette is available. Running back controversy, here we come.
Yeah, who do we
Jameer
see?
Thurman is available. And Deontay Williams,
lots
defensive
of guys
back,
coming off
is
of injury
available.
for Saskatchewan, and very much needed. Very, very much needed. Now, so Trevor Harris is starting, right? Like, we know for sure that he's back, he's starting. That's the situation.
As far as I know.
Okay. Well, so we're gonna go with the assumption that Trevor Harris is starting here, because I'd be shocked if he isn't. Which now brings us to the Alouettes. What is their injury situation?
Crevon LeBlanc, defensive back, is out with a hamstring injury.
Okay.
David Cote, who was on the 6th game,
Yep.
he actually suffered a right quadricep injury.
Oh.
That's why he's been out, and that's the kicker.
Like he tore his quad?
No, it just says
Like
right
Vince
quadricep.
McMahon running into the Royal Rumble? Like
I have no idea. It just says right quad
that's not good.
tricep.
That's not a good injury to have.
Navy's Leon, defense back, available.
Okay.
Frederick Kagon, linebacker, out. Davis Alexander, not injury related, available.
Yes, this is because before we continue, thoughts and prayers out to Davis Alexander for the death of his father that happened just recently. To Davis Alexander. So thoughts and prayers with the Alexander family. I don't know if you knew this, Rick.
No, I didn't.
It just came out. I had heard about the passing of his father. So I hope nothing for the best, and thoughts and prayers with them for their grieving at this time.
Tyson Philpott, out.
Oh!
So that means Mr. Rambo, get your gun, salute my friends. This guy's going for...
He's got to go Rambo.
He has to go full Rambo.
That's right.
Najee Murray, defensive back, ankle, out. So, Carter, here's a barren question. Cody Fajardo.
And?
Questionable, probable, available, or out?
They haven't given an answer.
Oh, no, I see the answer. I want to see what you think.
Is he in?
He is available.
Oh, hell yeah, this game's going to be fun. Frig yeah. That's how I like it. That's good. That's good.
So, Tuesday he was limited.
This is what we wanted.
Well.
We wanted both of these quarterbacks available, and we wanted them to just slug it out. Okay, this is great. Great stuff.
Keep in mind, there's been no official word from
then
Jason
where are you getting
Moss. Because we won't know till later on today when the depth charts come out from Montreal if Fajardo's really playing.
I mean, he has to with Davis Alexander not being able to be there and him coming off injury.
It says that he's available. Both of them are available.
I'm not gonna lie. I think Montreal's hand is forced here. If he's available, you got to throw him in. So I'm going with the assumption that we're getting Fajardo versus Trevor Harris.
And just before we go with that, I want to see. I'm not sure if this is the first of the season or if it's the second. Oh, okay. This is the second. The first time these two teams played, again, was also in week 8. This was Shea Patterson had 222 yards.
Mm-hmm.
No touchdowns, no interceptions. This is when Hickson went off for 117 rushing yards and 1 touchdown.
Okay.
And this is when Caleb Evans was doing horrible, and then they brought in Davis Alexander, and he went 15 for 18 for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns.
So we'll be able to kind of see, I guess not quite at full strength. There still are injuries, but at full quarterback strength when it comes to having your starters in. This will be our first time seeing that this season. And I think everyone in the CFL is being kind of anticipating this. This is kind of... Right now, it looks like with BC kind of falling apart, although that could very much change with all the news and Nathan Rourke and everything. Saskatchewan's kind of now claimed that top spot in the West. at least as of right now. And this is a great time for them to get their star quarterback back. Shea Patterson, great job carrying the team, keeping their head above water while Trevor Harris has been out. And the Alouettes, I mean, at the end of the day, they're 8-1. They got one loss. Saskatchewan 5-3-1. You have your leaders of the East and West, respectfully. And this is going to be a absolute slugfest. Rick,
Yes.
I hope this is the game where we get back to the crazy offense and we don't have the kicking. I don't think this is going to be a kicking showdown. I don't think it will be.
So
I think this game will be a bit of an anomaly.
So here's the thing. You have the best defense in Montreal. Actually, second best because Ottawa has 2 points less against them.
Mm-hmm.
You have Saskatchewan, who is
To be fair, actually, I would say Montreal because Ottawa has played one less game. I think it's fair to say that.
Okay, fair enough.
I think Alouettes have the better defense. If it's only 2 points, Red Blacks have played one less game, so I'm giving that to Montreal.
So I want to say so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Saskatchewan's offense is in the middle of the pack, whereas Montreal has the top offense.
Yeah, because Saskatchewan's defense has been slipping a little as of recent.
But here's the thing, though. Montreal is 4-0 on the road.
Yeah. And
Saskatchewan
lost to Edmonton at home.
Yes.
That's the thing. Saskatchewan, they lost to Edmonton at home. When they gave Edmonton their first win, it's in Mosaic Stadium.
Now it's going to haunt those Mosaic fans forever.
It's like the Ghostbusters theme.
So, Carter.
Yep.
I'm going with Montreal. I assume that you're going with Montreal too because you're a Winnipeg Bomber fan.
Well, it's not even just because I'm a fan of the Bombers, because I try to pick who I think is going to win, not who I want is going to win. Obviously, who I want will have a factor. Yes, it will sway a little bit. However, I really think the Alouettes got it going. It's one of those things where I think this will be a very close game. I don't think they win by much. It's one of those things where it will, if it is a kicking showdown, it's a kicking showdown at the end because all the touchdowns happened earlier. And so I think, yeah.
I was going to say, keep in mind, Montreal started the first 5 weeks 5-0. They lost to Toronto in week 6. They had a week 7 bye, and then they've won 3 games straight. So is this going to be game number 4 in a row?
I'm not going to lie. I think it will be. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, was this team hindered a lot in terms of its offensive capabilities when Cody Fajardo wasn't there? Yeah, and they were still winning, even when they were hindered. The defense of the Alouettes has been incredible. It has just been absolute, complete shutdown defense. They will kill you with their defensive line. They will kill you with their linebackers. They will kill you with the secondary. They will just squeeze you from all ends. Seriously, this team has been able to do such a fantastic job at all that. We had this full conversation with Alouettes Flight Deck. I think it was like 52 minutes, whatever it was. Excellent conversation. Please check that out. It's already up on the channel. Also, just tons of really, really good insight from the about the Alouettes from Alouettes Flight Deck. And they were just talking about some of the incredible performances. I think Nate Bahar has a really big opportunity in this game with Tyson Philpott still being out. I think Julian Grant can be a very big contributor. I think Rambo is going to be definitely your number one.
Reggie White Jr.
Reggie White Jr. Again, this is the thing. This is where the Montreal Alouettes are like the switchblade of the league. They are that Swiss Army knife. They can kill you one way. They can kill you with another. They'll just keep flicking out more because they have more weapons with them. And this Alouettes offensive line has been very, very good. And the defensive line of Saskatchewan has been kind of one of the things, the pass rush has been one of the things that's hindered a little bit as of recent. Again, Saskatchewan has a very good defense. They have a very capable defense, but the trend for them these past few games hasn't been as good as it has at the start of the season. Again, not saying that they're not able to turn around. They absolutely are. There's no question about capability. But it's one of those things where if we're looking at the trends and I have to put my money on someone, my money's on the Montreal Alouettes and that they will defeat Saskatchewan in Saskatchewan at Mosaic Stadium. which then will bring us into our next game of the week. Rick,
The-
floor is
the
yours.
toilet-
Elks versus Tiger Cats at Tim Hortons Field.
The toilet bowl inside the donut box. The worst of the West versus the worst of the East.
There you go.
And
this is,
if
this is the relegation game.
if you haven't had, you know what the funny thing is? I was looking at this.
What?
Both teams are the worst. Check. Both teams have a quarterback controversy. Check. But the question is, who's going to be
Both
playing?
teams have had problems defensively at times.
Check. Except for one quarterback has the one that's been leading the league in touchdowns, interceptions, and yards is not playing.
And then he posts something on his Instagram about how his kid's got to run that lemonade stand now that he lost his starting position. Which
I thought he was making a joke out of it.
I thought he was too. I'm not gonna lie. I don't. Some people interpreted that as him bitching. I interpreted that as him just having fun with his kids. Well, he's having fun with his kids. He's a dad. Like,
keep in mind, if someone wants to go listen to an interesting presser on ticats.ca, August 14th, go listen to Scott Milanovich's 8-minute presser. My God, this guy throws the team under the damn bus.
Here's the thing.
And runs over them again
Here's
and
the
again.
thing. That can lead to either one of two things. Either this team really turns it around like crazy and this is like the biggest kick in the ass that they needed, or this team completely falls apart and Scott Milanovich can be looking for employment elsewhere at the end of this season. That's how this goes. It goes one way or the other.
Keep in mind, this week we have Jamal Peters back. He's had 2 full practices.
Mm-hmm.
My stomach says no. My head says that Katratonis, after having a limited practice on Tuesday, he'll be back. But we'll see tomorrow's practice if Katratonis is going to be back. Smoke Harris is out. Joel Figueroa, the worst money spent ever on an offensive lineman. The guy hasn't played hardly any games for us since we've signed him. He's gone at the end of the season because he's a free agent. Apparently Scott Milanovich says that there's going to be changes made this week. I like to see what those changes are. As far as the Elks for injuries, Niles Morgan is not practiced today, non-football related. Romeo McKnight did not practice today due to an ankle injury, and Trey Ford was limited with a chest injury. And Kevin Brown is full. So now here comes the running back controversy as well for Edmonton.
Well, like who's going in?
Do you play Leak, who's been unstoppable last couple of weeks, or do you play Kevin Brown?
Leak.
No, I'm just saying, like, some people will say Kevin Brown, some people will say Javon Leak.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it's one of those things where Kevin Brown's very good. I think you're going to definitely give a little bit more to Leak. Now, one thing I will say that will be key, I think you'll also have times where you'll be running Kevin Brown and Leak will be in kind of maybe playing a little bit of receiver. Maybe you're just playing that close SWAT position. I could see them doing that. I mean, how many times did we see Edmonton throw into the flats? Into, again, a position where the slot could easily have a route going in there. And then they run it down with Javon Evans from there, or Javon Leak, sorry, not Evans, Javon Leak from there. And so I think it's very possible that they find ways to incorporate both into this offense. I'm really curious to see exactly what Javarius Jackson is cooking up. It will be important that they get that figured out. It's one of those things. Edmonton needs to stay focused on the game right now because there's so much stuff happening around the Edmonton Elks organization, which we're actually going to be having a video coming out later today. We did it with Elks Herd. I think it's like 50, 45 minutes, something like that. Great talk about all the situation with Edmonton, with the ownership change, with the rumors of a possible name change between either the Edmonton Elks and staying with that or going back to the Edmonton Eskimos, all that sort of stuff. You guys can check that out in the video coming later today. It's really, really good stuff. You will not want to miss it. But it's one of those same things where the team can't get distracted by that. Javarius Jackson's got to make sure he gets his squad focused in.
Also, keep
I'm
in
curious to see
mind,
where they go.
Powell can run. Bo can't. Powell's not afraid to
That's true.
scramble. Bo doesn't scramble. But now, so I know where I'm going in this.
Mm-hmm.
The question to you, Carter, is if Trey Ford doesn't play,
Okay.
do you think McLeod Bethel Thompson can get them the W?
Yes, I do.
Because I mean, other than last
And
week,
I
he
think
hasn't won them a
Javon
game.
Leake is a big reason why. Because again, it's one of those things where you have to also look at it in the sense of the majority of that game. Bethel Thompson did play. Trey Ford obviously started that game, but Bethel Thompson did play the majority of that game. And Edmonton also just notoriously these past few years they've had better performances when they're on the road. And that's when they've kind of picked up their wins, even when they are few and far between. And so it's one of those things where I think under those pretenses, I think McLeod Bethel Thompson could possibly get it done.
Don't forget, we also have the dual threat in James Butler too that can play receiving and rushing too.
This
So
is where the James Butler Javon Leake is it gets similar in terms of that regard, in terms of being able to be a threat both receiving and rushing. Again, I'm not even going to try to compare the speed because Javon Leake is like the fastest guy in the entire league. But it's one of those things where James Butler is very much a capable running back, and so there's a lot that they could do with him.
So the interesting stat is Bo Levi Mitchell has been the least amount of sacked this year.
He's being the least sacked quarterback.
Even if you add Powell's 2 to his 12. Oh, sorry, Cody Fajardo. But I mean, Cody Fajardo has only played has missed the last 3-4 games,
Something like that.
but I mean, he's the second least sacked quarterback in the league. Everyone else has 13
or more.
Or more.
Yeah.
But
Rick, who are you taking?
You already know who I'm taking.
Oh,
That
I know,
doesn't even
I know.
need to be a question.
I know, but we need it on the
it's-
record. We need it on the
funny
record.
the funny thing about this that I mentioned to Carter earlier is when I did the final calculations of our records up to 10 weeks, every time I took the Ticats, even though they're 2-7, I still have a better record of 23-16-1, and he's 19.
To be fair, I tried to believe in your Ticats for a while, and that has not done me any favors either.
I've never bet against them either. And I'm not going to stop because I'm taking the Ticats this week.
Fair enough. I will bet against the Ticats. I'm taking the Elks.
Ooh. It's the only one that we could be possibly deciding on. And then the last game of the week is...
If the Montreal-Saskatchewan game for some reason isn't the game of the week, this one is. This will be the first game in the CFL since 2022 where Nathan Rourke is on the field and wearing the orange and black.
Okay. You want to know how I think this will be the game of the week?
Why?
Because one of two things is either going to happen, and it's going to be headlining.
Mm-hmm.
Either Rourke has an outstanding game and you guys lose by 20 or plus points, and it's Rourke's return to the CFL, and he scores 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Forgets what Canadian football is, and
Rourke just craps the bed and just has one of the worst showings, and you guys somehow beat.
It's funny.
BC.
I don't necessarily think that's the situation. I think that's likely. I think that both of those situations are very much possible. I think it's much more likely that Rourke plays outstanding. But I think we're going to have a situation not where necessarily he does really, really poorly or where he does incredible, but where he will do well, but a little bit underwhelming in the sense of that this is going to take time for him to adjust back. There is an adjustment between the NFL and the CFL. We've seen it.
Okay, so you're saying
I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I'm saying that's possible. What?
You're talking about like the Jake Maier wannabe where he throws for a ton of yards but no touchdowns and no interceptions.
Not necessarily, possibly. Just one of those things where it's like maybe he finishes the game and it's like he goes 240 and he goes, I don't know, 2 for 2, like 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and goes like, I don't know, like 26 for like 35. And so it's one of those things where it's just really, really like decent numbers, but underwhelming for Rourke. And so I think that's a possibility. And it's one of those things where, ladies and gentlemen, we're forgetting some crucial things. Winnipeg is finally getting a decent amount of guys coming off the injury list. Celestion Haba coming back to that defensive line. We got Kenny Lawler coming back to that receiving core. It's been starving of it. Starving. Cody Case goes down to the practice roster. Lucky Whitehead moves from his receiver position over to returner. Not going to lie. Happy to see Lucky Whitehead still in there. If we play him at receiver, I'm glad to see him there too. But it doesn't look like he's projected to be on that starting receiver lineup. Not going to lie. If we replace Clercius or Josh Johnson, would kind of be okay with that. Haven't exactly been that impressed with them, especially since Josh Johnson took a stupid penalty last game that cost us 15 yards for crap that he did after the play. But it was one of those things where I think this will make a huge difference. I think having Kenny Lawler back in, what the Bombers have been missing for so long is that long ball. And Dembski is a sometimes long ball kind of guy. Lawler is an all the time long ball kind of guy. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you wonder one of the reasons that the Caleros' numbers have been down, it's because his 2 long ball guys have been injured. Schoen and Lawler, those were the 2 guys. That was where you were going to pick up the majority of your that's where you're going to pick up those big yardage gains. And just Winnipeg hasn't really had that, because either it's went to Dembski and he's dropped the ball. Thankfully, he's figured it out in terms of holding onto the ball. Hopefully that stays. Hopefully it sticks. I don't know whether he's got to put maple syrup all over his gloves or whatever the hell he's got to do. But you know, that's something that's been missing from the Bombers game, and that was a key part of their game for so many years. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you look at 2019, you look at 2021, you look at 2022, you look at 2023, you know, even excluding, like, you know, playoffs or whatever. You just look at their dominance through the regular season, although it wasn't as much in 2019 in terms of regular season dominance. That long ball was huge, absolutely massive in terms of Buck Pierce getting this down the field, because Buck Pierce is a very, very predictable offense. However, the reason he was able to get success even with that predictability was that occasionally he'd throw a fork in the road and he'd go for something really, really big, and it would catch teams off guard. And when you got a guy with the skill of Kenny Lawler or Dalton Schoen on the other side of that's game over, seriously. And so it's one of those things where both of these guys have been out since like game 1 or 2 or whatever it was. And so I think this is a massive, massive opportunity for Winnipeg, and I think it's being completely overshadowed by all the Nathan Rourke talk. And I totally get why it is, but it's one of those things where, put it this way, I remember the last time we played in BC. You know, I remember all the last time with BC fans, they had that Dominic Rhymes head on a pike the last time that we played in BC. And I think this game is going to be nuts. I think this has potential to be game of the week. If not, it'll be the second best game of the week. It'll be one of the two. What do you think?
I mean, I do agree to a certain extent that it could be the game of the week, but we'll see how the Montreal game...
Or second best.
But Carter, I have some breaking news for you.
What do you got?
So, at the beginning of the season, Montreal had the best odds of being Grey Cup favorites at plus 118. Because of Nathan Rourke has signed with BC. BC has gone from second to 334 up to 180. So BC has leapfrogged Montreal.
Okay, so all I hear is one thing, and then it's that somebody needs to get humbled. This honeymoon is getting cut short, baby. That's what happened. We gotta believe in Blue Bomber football. We gotta believe in Blue Bombers football.
That's funny because every time you bang your desk, your light on my head flicker.
I know. We gotta believe in it. It's funny. It doesn't even flicker. It's just this move. Like my laptop moves, and so it makes it look like it because you know what I mean. And so it looks like it moves.
Yeah.
We gotta believe in Bombers football. It's time to get it done, boys. Seriously. Let's go! I'm so hyped for this game.
Too bad it has to be the freaking Sunday game out of all games.
I don't know what you're talking about. Save the best for last, baby.
Listen, I've had enough of Sunday games, okay? I don't need any more Sunday games this year.
Oh, I can deal with a Sunday game. I don't care. If we have a good game on Sunday, then finally I can have myself a nice Monday when I go back to work.
You know what, though? I want to see when do
see?
the games... So I think next week. It's next week. Next week is the last Saturday evening game of the season.
Like the last one?
Because
is it like the back to school schedule thing?
It's because TSN's going to start showing the Saturday games on CTV, and they have the afternoon slots. So you're going to be having like 3.
And wait, hold on a second. What date is this that this is happening? This change?
Okay, so this starts the week after Labor Day. So this begins.
So you're probably getting
September 7th.
You're probably getting NHL in there. That's probably why.
Because
you're going to have some NHL time slots that'll affect where the CFL.
I mean, that's preseason though. Still. No, training camps just begin. So the week after Labor Day, you have Toronto, Ottawa playing at 1, and then you guys have your Banjo Bowl at 3:00.
The Banjo Bowl, baby!
Oh no!
What?
I just found out because they've went and changed that game on that Saturday. I won't be able to go to that game.
Oh.
Because they changed it from 4 to 3. That's okay.
Damn.
I can sell those tickets. But yeah, that goes all of the way to the end of the season, and the East semifinals will be starting at 3:00. I know what you're gonna ask me. Who am I picking? I'm picking BC.
I'm picking Winnipeg, baby. We got
good because I'll have the better record this week.
Oh no, that's where you're wrong, brother. That's where you're wrong.
I mean, one of us is going 3-1, 4-0.
I'll put it this way: so if someone's gonna have a better record than someone else.
Well, yeah, that too.
That's how this is gonna go. All right, fair enough. Anything else we got here?
No, not really.
Well, there we go. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. Because, again, I asked nicely earlier. I'm asking nice now. Feeling in a nice mood. Because we got a lot of exciting football coming up this weekend. That's why. If you haven't hit the little notification bell on the subscribe button, please do so. Got a lot of good stuff coming out. Reminder, later today, we will be having our video on the Elks. And the Elks Eskimos new owner situation happening and the possible name change, all that with Scout from Elks Herd. Real thanks to him for joining us. Excellent conversations every time we have him on. Then the Alouettes midseason report video is up with Alouettes Flight Deck. Good stuff there. Make sure you check that out. All the other midseason reports are up with the exception of Hamilton and Calgary, which we are working towards. We will have those up probably within the next week-ish. And so at that point, there we go. So hope you guys enjoyed watching. Peace, love, and positivity. I'm stealing Jake's line again. And we'll see you guys next time.